76 passengers and 4 crew members narrowly escaped disaster after Delta 4819 skids down the runway at over 100 miles per hour, flips upside down, and bursts into flames. Investigators are now scrambling to piece together how the crash took place and how each passenger aboard the plane survived. It comes after a series of deadly plane crashes over the last 2 months. Here's what we know so far. Delta Flight 4819, operated by regional Endeavour Air, is a Canadian-built Bombardier CRJ-900. The 16-year-old narrow-body plane is described by experts as a workhorse for flights between mid-sized cities. Chris Finlayson is a former Endeavour pilot. He's flown into Toronto Airport dozens of times, and in fact, he's flown the very route of the plane that crashed on Monday.
We only flew CRJs at Endeavour. We were the largest operator, actually, of the CRJ-900 in the world. And it's a great airplane to fly. Investigators are now reviewing this video. The plane, with its landing gear appearing down, rapidly descends. It's canted or angled to the right to compensate for a 40-mile-an-hour crosswind. As the plane touches down, the right landing gear appears to collapse, causing the plane's starboard wing to begin scraping the runway. Flames and thick black smoke block our view of the plane as it overturns. ABC News spoke with aviation experts who highlighted 3 key elements in this video: the plane's landing gear, its wing, and its fuselage.
When you come into land and then you roll out, it's very easy to end up pulling the nose a little bit too high. But you notice when I pull the nose a little too high, the wheels are back here, and you get kind of that motion where you end up driving your main landing gear into the runway.
When we hit down, it seemed like we hit pretty hard. And I thought, okay, this is a pretty rough landing, but I've had that before. And then all of a sudden, the plane started listing and turning to the right.
That hard landing is what some experts believe contributed to the collapse of the CRJ-900's right landing gear.
The impact on the right main gear has driven the gear past its limitations, and in the vernacular, it's driven the gear up through the wing.
Inside the plane, passengers described feeling the heat emanating from a fire outside the cabin.
It was just incredibly fast. There was a giant firewall down the side. I could actually feel the heat through the glass.
Images taken after the crash clearly show the right wing snapped off the fuselage, while the right landing gear was ripped off the plane. According to multiple aviation experts, the split-second loss of the wing, which holds half the jet's fuel, might have helped ensure the structural integrity of the cabin and the safety of its passengers.
If you are actually experiencing such a hard impact that you know the plane is crashing, which would have been the case here, then you would want it to snap off, because the alternative is that your fuselage would have been structurally the weakest point, in which case it would have crunched and torsioned.
All of these airplanes are metallic eggshells. When they're used exactly as they're designed, they're incredibly strong. And that's exactly what happened here. Because the cabin wasn't breached, it retained its structural integrity.
As the plane slowed to a stop, the 76 passengers on board found themselves hanging upside down in the cabin, locked in place thanks to modern seats and belts that can withstand immense G-forces.
I was hanging definitely by the seatbelt, which they are very sturdy because I'm not a little fella. And, everybody was helping their neighbor.
The final factor that saved the lives of the passengers and crew was likely the plane's well-trained crew and the fast response from the airport's firefighters, experts said.
So when you have something that is so abnormal and so outside of what your psyche can kind of deal with, you go to your foundational knowledge. And that's what you do as an airline employee. You have a strong foundational knowledge. When emergencies happen, you just go to your instinct, and your instincts are to get people out safely.
By 2:21 p.m., less than 10 minutes after the crash landing, every passenger and crew, many of whom reported the intense smell of jet fuel emanating throughout the cabin, safely exited the plane, escaping just moments before the fuel ignited once again. Investigators with the Transportation Safety Board of Canada are beginning to uncover clues about the cause of the crash, with an investigation expected to take months.